guys, welcome to this session by K21 Academy. In this session, we will be running text mining on Wikipedia for statistical analysis of non-structured data. Also guys, before moving on with this session, please subscribe to our channel so that you will never miss an update on our upcoming videos. Now let us take a quick glance at the agenda. Firstly, we will be discussing the text mining use case, and then we will try to understand elastic MapReduce, and finally, we will be performing a demo where we will be running a text mining on Wikipedia for statistical analysis of non-structured data. So we have taken a clip from one of our certification training program on AWS Certified Machine Learning Specialty, MLS C01. And in this clip, our expert will run text mining on Wikipedia for statistical analysis of non-structured data.
Earlier, we were discussing about the data. And this all data are human generated. And this all data are coming as a text format, guys. Maybe a log files or maybe any other files, whatever we are generating. So this all data are huge in size, huge in size. And the data, I can say it maybe it's coming from Wikipedia data. So, on a Wikipedia, there are hundreds of blogs are available on the same topic. Now, the moment you search for any items or anything, which page is going to be coming in front of you? Or you can think how the Google does the search. If I look for ML, which things is going to be get it in front of you? Which page will come if the similar page are going to? This is where our demo is going to be concerned. We are going to talk about text mining use cases. So in this use case, what I'm going to show it to you, I have loaded one Wikipedia data on AWS EMR cluster, which I'm going to process it through the SageMaker. So EMR is an elastic MapReduce that will be used for all data analysis. Multiple questions I'm receiving from the audience side, and they are talking about data engineering, data analytics and all. For them, they need this cluster where this is a high-end computing machines will be available, which will be working on a master-slave model, and my jobs are going to work in a parallel distributed mode, we can say. Distributed in the sense how we work in a company. You work as a team. If any project comes to you, that projects are being divided as a 3 parts. Part 0, maybe part 1 and part 2. And first part will be taken by maybe a machine number 1 or human number 1 or executor number 1 in technical term, I can say. Likewise, a machine number 2, and this will be taking machine number 3. And in the offices, all of the 3 buddies, employees, will start in parallel. They will not say, no, first we finish, then I'll come and go. It is not like that. Everybody will start on the same module and they work on a parallel. And that helps here to run my job in parallel. Now, as you see here, my lab are running already. And if you see, I will log into my accounts and I will show it to you. Although, sorry, my passwords are available. No worries, it's encoded. And I'll show you here one small demo for you. You may be interested. As you see here, I have one cluster waiting with Zipling notebooks, which is having a master available at this web UI. So I have created one cluster here. This cluster is going to run my program in real life and in a distributed manner. Now, try to see here what I'm going to show you a demo here. I have one Wikipedia pages or documents. It's going to be approximately 2,67,000 records. 2,67,000 records are available in this document. Just give some time to me. I'll make it everything clear, my dear friends. This document I have loaded on Amazon S3. So this is the data I have loaded from the Wikipedia. And in this data, variety of informations are available. And here I'm using a PySpark language, Python language to write it. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to convert this data as a tabular fashion so that I can do a query on it. So they see its jobs are running in real time. And here the data have 3 columns. One is called title and what time this data has been uploaded. and what are the items are available in the data. As you can say, there is somebody from Alabama and they are writing some documents and all. So this data I have in this. Now what I'm trying to do, I'll try to see, it's part of a data preparations, we can say. Before applying any model, we go for a data preparations, and we are writing a program to count how many data does have a null values. And we are able to see there are one data available which is having a null columns. Null in the sense data not available. Maybe I'm saying a phone number column and you are saying I don't have a phone numbers. So that is what we are just checking it out. And then we will see how many documents have a cleared, we can say, count with the null data. And once we got this count and replaced with a mean basically, so we do the treatment of the data. Treatment in the sense, all once we'll start the training, we'll be knowing it. We cannot apply any model with a null data. That causes an issue. Machine learning model doesn't work with it. So we just go for a treatment of this. Once treatment is done, I am going to apply my model to do the text mining and find which documents are more relevant for my work. And for that, we are going to use this model. Again, for today class, just don't go in this detail of the programming because it will take some time to understand. So basically, we are calling one tokenizer. Tokenizer, what it is going to do, it will take your every word. If I write, this is my class. So what your Wikipedia or Google, they will do it, they will break every word of your data, and for every word, they will create one tokens, a number, a hash code, and they will find which word is coming how many times in entire document available on Wikipedia. And then if any word is occurring more number of times in any document, they give a positions or a rank of that page. So we are trying to do that tokenizer I am calling, so that a token will be created here. You can see there are 2,64,144 data frame I have. I'm trying to create a tokens for today. And today requesting, please don't think for the coding part and all, it will take some time to understand. This is a very lengthy things we'll be covering in a great detail once we are starting our sessions. Once tokens are getting created, we will just convert every feature in the sense columns, as IDF will find the token or a number or the index for every data. So I am trying to do that indexing, and that will add a new column in my data with a name called features. In this feature, whatever documents I have, for every document there is a rank available with this. Once this rank is, I got it, I am going to apply again as a data frame to convert as a hash code. Simple again, hash code. What is this hash code? So for any number, maybe a hi, I'll create one number 1, and hello, I'll make a number 3, and this hash code will divide with the numbers, maybe a number of buckets, how many buckets you want. And today lots of technical things I'm using, kindly pardon me, because it's the first class and technical things we can't skip it. So it's like a buckets. If I say 5 buckets, so always remainders are going to be 0 to 4, and that is what I am trying to do it here. I will try to convert everything into a data frame, and I will try to search one keyword called Gettysburg. This is the one article, very famous article we can say in the US history. So some of you coming maybe literature and all, they'll be knowing it. So Gettysburg is the ID what I am trying to search from this data. Text mining I am going to do. In Wikipedia there will be hundreds of documents will be available for every particular keywords. Now I am trying to search for this Gettysburg ID. and I'll try to find which word is or which document is coming in front of me. This is, if you Google it, you will be finding there is a document available here, and popularly only two documents will be available, and both are very, we can say, linked. So I have searched it, and then you can say this document has got a score for Gettysburg. The keyword in this document, it is not available. Score is zero. Score is zero. Score is zero. Score is zero. But here is the document I got a very highest ranking. And my dear friends, are you able to see this highlighted name? Very famous name. So this Gettysburg, if you Google, you'll be finding his blog about this topic. And one more, a measure from US Army was linked to him only. He also has commented something, and his also ranking will be there. So I'll try to find out, order this ranking for the Gettysburg in the either ascending order or descending order, what you want. So I am saying ascending is equal to false. So means automatically I want to arrange the score. If the score is greater than zero, order it into the descending order and select the ID, title of the document, what is the document, and what's the score. Let's run it. And the moment I run it, you'll be saying, oh, there is one document ID available in Wikipedia. The ID number is 3, and the title written by Abraham Lincoln, and this one was the document. And the top score was 33.12 in the entire Wikipedia. And if you see the second score, who was available with this Gettysburg, there is another name is available that is called Arthur Dudley. If you Google his name, you'll be come to know he is the army officer of USA during those time, and he was very close to Abraham Lincoln, and his documents are coming in the second positions. And likewise, again, another name was there for the American Civil War and all, and it's saying the third score, that document has this keyword Gettysburg 16. And this is how our either Wikipedia or maybe a Google or any other web algorithms, they work to search a exact keyword that you need, and either it's a Google or Yahoo or Bingo or Wiki or any such domain gives you the most relevant information in front of you. And you know, today in the Google, if you search, if you get most relevant things today, either at the first or second link. But 10 years back, this was not the case, because every time Google is also updating their algorithms. And today we are at the optimal level. So this one is a small demo we have seen. And my dear friends, again, one more time a disclaimer, please do not worry about this coding part for the today at least.
We have put down everything about the certification, including the basic concepts that one should be knowing. So you should begin with data engineering because it is all about data, right? It is about manipulating the data. So you will begin with the introduction to data engineering, cloud computing, and then you will be working with S3. Then you have Kinesis, which is stream analytics, where data is constantly coming. And you will see how you can handle that. And there is Glue and Athena. Glue is a data catalog, and Athena is another tool on AWS. And then you will understand how do you create AWS data pipelines. So this is all from data engineering point of view. And this is again little bit more than AI and machine learning, because based on our experience, data helps a lot, right? It is good to have a data background. And then you will look into how to do data analysis and data visualization, and Athena, which is another tool related to data. Then we will talk about deep learning and regularization techniques. Then you specifically focus on SageMaker. What are the different things you make in SageMaker and different clustering mechanism for that. And then you will look into machine learning implementation and operations. This basically explains how do you deploy your machine learning and how do you run day-to-day operations. So it is not just machine learning, but associated services with machine learning. This basically explains how do you deploy your machine learning For example, we have compute on which your processing runs, identity and access management, logging, monitoring, and other things as well. And then you will do projects. So this is the most important point. Once you understand the basic concepts, then you run projects on top of that, right? So you have multiple projects. As a part of this program, you will be doing projects on that. And finally, you will be giving the certification exam. We would provide some sample questions through which you would be preparing. In this 12-week roadmap, we take you from basics to advanced level along with the tips and resources for clearing the certification exam. Once you are done with the certification, then you can start preparing your CV and start applying for jobs. So the learning you have done here and the projects you have done here will help you getting a job. We also have a separate team working for CV preparation and on-job support. So if you want to become AWS certified machine learning professional and want to learn right from basics to expert level, then we have a comprehensive step-by-step training that includes hands-on labs, including exam preparation, and the most important part, 1 year on-job support. So if you are interested in this program, then I would highly recommend you to attend our free class, which covers why to learn artificial intelligence and machine learning, why to use machine learning on AWS cloud, job opportunities for machine learning on AWS, and many other things. So if you are interested in this free class, you can visit k21academy.com/AWSML02. You can also find the link in the description.